Hi, this is a short video to show you how I caulked my baseboards after I put in my new hardwood floor. The baseboards, I reused the old baseboards, and what I noticed is I ended up with a gap, maybe as large as 1/8 of an inch in some places on long runs where the baseboard had a bow in it and it didn't push down hard enough on it while I was nailing it. And rather than try to take it off again and put it on again, I have caulked it. I noticed on the internet there is a lot of people that recommend caulking anyway, if only to prevent a spill of water or something from just actually running in under that crack, because once it runs in under there, you really can't get it out. I caulked it on the top and on the bottom, although on the top the fit seemed a lot better to start with, so I only put on a very small bead and I smoothed it out with my finger. On the bottom I had to use a larger bead. I noticed that there's a little bit of discoloration on the baseboard, I think, from the bead, probably because it was maybe thicker than it was on the top. The top didn't seem to do that. Stuff I was using was this clear Dynaflex 230. This turns clear after a couple of days. Here's an example of what I did yesterday versus I went in this morning, because this gap was large enough that what I put in there didn't completely fill it, so I just put a second coat on it. It seems to work fine. I like the idea that I won't get air drafts of air just seeping through here, getting into this wall. This is actually an interior wall, but if you have an air leak in an interior wall, the warm air will just rise up into your attic, and that's one way of losing heat in the room. So while I was at this, I went ahead and I just did this all the way around on all the baseboards. I did 2 tubes to do the whole thing, and each tube cost about $4 to $5. Here's an example where I got to the forced hot water heating. Here's where there's a gap of about 1/8 of an inch or maybe or more between this and the floor. This is something where a dime could have slid through there, and then you'd never really get that out, because the boards don't run completely up to the wall. There's a little gap on there, so I caulked all that up. I also, you can see, I caulked this little cutout for the heating pipe. That should just dry over the next couple of days. It would keep, I'm not sure exactly how good that is, but I had the tube, so I just went ahead and caulked everything. It should help keep ants from getting up into the room if they wanted to try, but I'm sure they could figure out a way anyway. I did have a few special cases, like in the corner. What I did there was I took a piece of foam insulation that I had lying around, and I just plugged that. That shows you how close the last board went to the wall. There's about a 1/2 inch gap there. Something could fall down in there. It'd be hard to get it out. I just put a little plug of foam in there. It's compressible, so it squeezes in pretty tight. And then another special situation I ran into was over at the other end here of the heating. I ended up, here's an example of the foam that I had lying around from insulating the hot water supply pipes. It's not rectangular, so it's not perfect, but I just cut off a piece and then just kind of squeezed it in that gap. Now here's a case where this hot water pipe went from this room into the master bathroom, and that was obviously a very large hole that they cut to put that pipe through, and that was a break in the wall. There would have been quite an air gap there, so unfortunately it seemed to be almost exactly the size of this insulation that I had. So I cut a piece of this, I tapered the end of it, And then I probably had about a 4-inch section, and I just drove it in. And it squeezes in really good, so that was nice. And then I caulked around it. Because I like to use up a tube of caulk once I open it, if possible. So I did caulk around all the door frames, on the closet, on the inside of the closet. I did notice, for example, on the inside of the closet, the people who built it were more sloppy, and there was quite a gap, for example, even on the inside part of this trim. So I just caulked that up too. And so in a door frame, there's a lot of places that you could caulk. I didn't caulk all these places. I only caulked it up against the wall. But the air will leak in on these other sections as well. But if you did find a gap in any section, you could usually caulk it with that stuff. Okay, so that's my deal with caulking.